I'm Shantell Martin. I'm here in my studio in New York and I draw. I draw on everything. Cars, people, walls, planes, paper. I've been in this studio for about a year, but I've actually been in New York almost 5 years now, and before that I was in Tokyo. You know, I grew up in London, went to art school there, got interested in Japanese kind of like animation, movies, culture. So that kind of inspired me to go to Japan. And you know, you finish art school and you're like, well, what do I do now with an art degree? Get a retail job? And I had this interest in Japan and in Tokyo, so that's what I did. I finished school, I went to Tokyo, and at the time I was really into drawing, but in a kind of much smaller scale. So I would draw with these like very fine pens, like a 0.05 pen. Eventually made some friends in Japan. One of those friends used to produce Japanese kind of events, and she saw my drawing and asked me to draw at an event. And I guess what she meant at the time was like some live drawing, so I would be drawing here and then there would be a band playing there. And I said that sounded great, but at the time I was drawing really small, so I said, well, what if I draw under a camcorder and we project that? So we project that onto the band, and it kind of makes more sense. And that's what we did, and then for the first time I performed in Japan and discovered I was a performer. The environment I'm in completely affects the work, and also the atmosphere I'm in completely affects the work. I would do these kind of very detailed, I guess, more condensed drawings, and I felt that that was because the environment I was in Japan was very small. You know, you have a very little personal space. You spend a lot of time kind of squashed on a train or in your very, very small apartment. So that really affected the work. And then coming to New York, you know, it is funny when you think about it, but you know, everything is bigger in America, and you know, there's bigger streets and bigger cars and houses are bigger and people have bigger fridges, and it happened to me, you know, that I went from using a 0.05 pen, and then I started to use these kind of like Stedler M-size pens, and then I kind of graduated to a Krink slightly fatter pen, and then I graduated to like a Krink K51, which is the, you know, like these fat lines behind me. And I think that is definitely a reflection of me being in this environment and growing or adapting or changing in relation to that environment over time. For me, I am a performer before I'm an artist or before I'm a drawer or any of these other things, and that's because I'm my best when people are watching me draw. You know, if I'm by myself and I start drawing, I'll end up watching Netflix or checking the fridge a few times. You know, I like to invite people along to watch me because that brings energy to the work and that brings some kind of speed to the work as well. So even though the Mikado show is more of a gallery show, I'm going to create a series of workshops, and even at the openings I'm going to be there creating stuff live, because that's where I feel like I'm my best, and I want to take advantage of, you know, that energy and those people being in the space seeing me. I was going to these clubs and eventually became a VJ, like a visual jockey. So you had these guys with all this equipment mixing, you know, from one computer to another, and I would come in and just plug in and essentially draw.